Welcome back to the Love and Consciously podcast.
So if you didn't get the memo, this is not our podcast anymore. This is Layla's podcast. And this furry friend has decided that she wants to be a part of every episode. Huh, Mama? So today's episode will be short and sweet. The intention of this episode, the energy that wanted to come through was tenderness. And really, this was birthed in my experience around this last few weeks of watching myself, my partner, and pretty much everyone around me, my clients, my friends, experience some of the things we're going to touch on in this episode. And just really tuning into this, consciousness of have to and being so hard on ourselves and perfectionism and high expectations and a lot of those words which immediately just feel so heavy. And also tuning into this deep compassion around what we are going through as a species right now and a collective on this planet, and how challenging and uncomfortable and new and overwhelming and exciting that is. And so to be navigating that while still being fully imperfectly perfect human feels really intense these days. And I just felt really deeply that the best that I could do today was show up in my sweatshirt and give what I have. And what I have is my authentic self. And something I've been tuning into a lot this last week is that energy of authenticity. Obviously, we are deep into authenticity and vulnerability on this podcast. And as I've been making daily content for 6 weeks now, after being gone for 9 months, I've been going through some really, really, really deep healing. And I found myself struggling to show up because I felt like I had to be or do insert blank. And it was actually our daughter and our son were showing me this last week in the spirit, this consciousness and how I was falling back into these patterns of being so hard on myself and having these high expectations and perfectionism. And so we're just going to talk about that today because it feels really alive in the field. I've had so many people this past week tell me, I know better, or I've done so much healing work, why am I still blank, or I have to stop blank, or things like that. And it just feels really alive in the field. And so our prayer in this episode is that you receive some tenderness and that you start to unpack and explore some of these beliefs and states of being and existing in this world that are not serving our highest love.
No. It's been a really potent season for a lot of us. And even with myself, like you were sharing, it feels a lot of days like my nervous system is pushed to the max and there isn't a lot to give. And it's really had me asking myself, why do I feel like I need to give more? Why do I feel like there's always this moving target of, that's the version of myself that I need to be all the time versus can I just meet myself with tenderness and love in every moment? And really dissecting, what's true and what's an internalized belief that's navigating, my reality. And I'm really excited to dive into this with you because meeting ourselves with tenderness and love and grace, compassion, these words, they just have a softness to them. And I think that softness is really, really needed right now.
I don't know if you saw, but as soon as you spoke those words, like my whole body took a big sigh, which if you're not joining us on YouTube, get on over to YouTube. We are doing video now, and so you can see us in all of our realness and our rawness. You can see Layla, though she has jumped ship. Not a very good co-host, Missy. So I feel like, I feel like we've talked about this before, and a lot of people do, right? This, like, you don't have to, you get to. But way deeper than that, like, why is it that we believe, like, I have to do this today. I have to go run these errands. I have to clean the house. I have to, like, I felt that so strongly this past week, and I'm usually pretty good about that. I'm really good about living in the now and doing what feels alive and true to me. And this past week, it was just like this, like, yeah, dangling of a carrot of chasing this endpoint, like you said. And I think it's such a beautiful opportunity to slow down and be tender with ourselves and have compassion with ourselves on where we might be seeking externalized love, or where we might be seeking things outside of ourselves to make us feel worthy, whole, enough, wanted, successful, whatever that thing may be for you. It's probably several. And slowing down and meeting those parts with that tenderness and that love and that compassion and grace around, yeah, just this world we've grown up in. I feel like we don't talk about it enough, what we have experienced. And what I mean by that is like the depth and breadth of like the trauma that is living in this world, in a world of war and famine and poverty where children are being harmed. Like, that is so taxing on the nervous system and the body and the mind, even if we're not aware of it, even if we are not like actively experiencing it. And so this helps me overcome this, is when I start getting into these places and I'm so hard on myself, like, you're not working hard enough, you're not doing enough. I lay down and rest for 20 minutes and that voice is like, you need to be working more. Like, you have years worth of work to do, right? Like, there's always so much more to do. And God comes in, my soul comes in, my children come in. Like, when the voice of truth comes in, it is always, there's nothing you have to do. And I want to caveat this with obviously the understanding that we don't want to get too far on the other side of the pendulum and get into the woo-woo, ungrounded, like, oh, it's all love and I just need to be love and that's it. Like, there is a physical world that we live in. And fundamentally, like, at the root of truth here, there is nothing to do except to be love. And when we are that love and we embody that love, everything else comes from that place. And it's so profound, but so simple. And how many times I forget this and need to remember, like, to be tender with my human self of like, just be, just rest. That was a huge theme this past week, was rest. Is like feeling guilty for resting and like needing, like, I'm not even talking about like hours, right? This wasn't like days. It was like, I just wanted a couple hours to rest. And that voice was like, no, like, you need to keep going. You have so many things to create. You have this big mission. And yeah, I just think that voice of truth, like that invitation to really listen to God's voice and to allow that tenderness and compassion for yourself of what you've experienced and that you're doing the best that you can right now, and literally just existing in this world and being conscious and choosing love in whatever way that looks like. Maybe choosing love is laying on the couch and resting all day. You're serving this world way more than you would be if you're running, doing, and being stressed, which is another huge word that a lot of people around me have been using.
Yeah. In my experience, I call it whack-a-mole consciousness, right? You're constantly, trying to whack the mole that's popping up. And I've found within me, it happens when there's an imbalance in my masculine and feminine energies. And what we're talking about today around tenderness, right? It's really bringing in that feminine aspect, that nurturing aspect, to be able to nurture our masculine so that it's acting from a place of love, not from a place of stress and fear. And, when we talk about these have to consciousness, right? Have to versus get to. It, to me, relates deeply to discipline, right? Discipline is a really, really potent masculine tool. It is what gets us to actually do the things that we have been tasked with doing. I'm just going to restart. Discipline is a really potent masculine tool, and it gives us what we need in this world to actually take action, right? If we were always in the feminine, there would be a lot of inspiration, there would be a lot of love, there would be a lot of presence. but not a lot gets done, right? We see that in the love movement in the 70s, with just all the magic that was, and not a lot really got done. And so we shifted deeply, over these last years into something more masculine, a lot of doing, a lot of achieving. And I just want to give some space and honor that that's been really taxing on our nervous systems. And it's led to a world that we've inherited that is really focused on earning love, and our value and the love that we receive from others and ourselves is based on what we're able to achieve in this world, rather than the love that we give ourselves unconditionally and feel through nurturing and tenderness that's a God-given right, is what informs the things that we create in this world.
Yeah, you touched on something really deep there that I wasn't thinking about, and I think you lended so perfectly into the next point, right? Of like, we are inherently born whole, perfect, worthy children of the Creator, and that is forgotten. Trying to be mindful of my words here. Intentionally removed from our experience through infinite varying ways that this world convinces us that we are broken, sinful, unworthy, and need a savior, etc. But I feel so much, remembering like we are perfect and whole, and there is no expectation. Our worth is not based in what we achieve. And though it definitely feels like it sometimes, it really is just this like vicious cycle of chasing and trying to achieve, and it's unachievable inherently. And I truly feel the most powerful like antidote for this is tenderness, and is that grace and that compassion for yourself, because this world is already so challenging without us being hard on ourselves. And I just saw so clearly this last week, God was showing me, seriously, y'all, like, I ate an extra piece of pure organic ethical cacao, and like the voice was like, oh, how dare you? Or I didn't make it to the gym one day that I wanted to. And things like that, and that voice just being like, how dare you rest and not be at the gym right now, like you're so lazy. But my point is, we are like so hard on ourselves, and just bringing that tenderness and that unconditional love to yourself of like, this world is already hard enough, without putting that internalized on ourselves and also externalized on other people. Mm-hmm. I find for me personally, it's usually one or the other. Like, I'm either being really hard on people outside of me, or I'm being really hard on myself, and I kind of swing back and forth. But you alluded to like balance and coming back into this space. I made a video about this where I said balance is impossible, because we are not static beings, we are flow beings. And so I talk about the pendulum a lot. I recently made a video about that as well, like the nature of the ego to, we're over here and we gain some type of awareness and we swing all the way over here. And we're constantly seeing this, right? Religion to new age, and this to that, diets and different things and belief systems. And we're always like looking for balance, but like we can never seem to find it. Like I honestly can't think of a time ever in my life where like everything's been balanced. And someone shared this with me of, it's because balance is impossible. Like, we're looking for rhythm, a pocket in the center that's like a healthy, if balance were like, we're always looking for that balance, and we need rhythm, because there's going to be days where you have a couple extra pieces of cacao, and there's going to be weeks where you go a little too hard at the gym, or you don't go to the gym as much as you want to, right? And having that flexibility to be a rhythmic being that is perfectly imperfect is so necessary right now as we enter these higher and higher states of consciousness and these higher frequencies and these higher ways of being and interacting. It's almost like the polarity of the moments when we experience patterning or anger or eating extra cacao or whatever it may be, scrolling too much. Like, those almost feel more painful or more difficult to look at because the contrast is getting greater. Mm-hmm. And so the call for tenderness and compassion and gentleness with ourselves and our brothers and sisters feels vital and critical right now to navigating these wild, turbulent times. I mean, even just like astrologically, energetically, spiritually, what we're going through right now, like, it's hitting us in all dimensions, all levels, all layers, and I feel it. Like, I feel myself being stretched, and it's so beautiful, and I have these like expansive, profound moments, and then sometimes I'm just like in the gutters in my sweater and just like, I can't do it. Yeah. And it just feels like tenderness is the medicine right now.
Yeah. And you touched on really important topics there too. Thinking that there's a target that we're going to get to, and it constantly moves, right? When I was, first starting out in this path, I was like, wow, if I could just, not be depressed for one day and think suicidal thoughts, that would be a win, right? And now sometimes I'll eat an extra piece of cacao, or I want to make pancakes for dinner, as an
organic,
adult.
plant-based
right?
quinoa pancakes.
And I'm so hard on myself of like, that's like, you should be better than this. And
that word should.
And that should is like, it's a tough one. But I bring this because the target moves. Our definition of what perfect looks like, or not even perfect, but just a better version of ourselves, is always somewhere that is further away. There's always something that we could be better at. And it's this trap of thinking that we need to be more perfect than we already are in some way that leads to eternal suffering. And it's something that we've inherited through this matrix of, the education system and the expectations that have been put on us by society. And you take a look at the structure of how that functions. I was contemplating that in preparing for this episode, and understanding, there's this external influence that comes into our awareness, right? We're children and we have no cares in the world. We don't think that we need to be more perfect than we already are. We're in complete flow and in this just beingness of love. And then there's this external influence that's brought into our awareness by our families, by our schools, by the media, whatever it may be, the world we've inherited, right? That says, no, actually, you're not perfect. You need to be doing this instead. And then we have an opportunity to either say, no, actually, that doesn't resonate as true for me. I'm going to allow that to pass through me. Or we get an opportunity to attach to it. And when we attach to it, the attachment to the external influence then becomes an internalized belief system. I'm not beautiful because I don't wear makeup. I'm not lovable because I'm not tall enough, right? Or I'm not smart enough, or all these things that I'm not working hard enough. And that internalized belief system then becomes something that we constantly repeat to ourselves over and over and over and over again. And before long, that is now something we project onto others, because it's something that's core to our beliefs. So now I say, no, you're not beautiful because you're not wearing makeup. And then in that cycle, we become the external influence for that person. And that's how these patterns keep getting passed on generation after generation after generation. And we get the opportunity to be that break in the cycle, to see where we're having internalized belief systems that really weren't even ours in the first place. How can we begin to identify those external influences and meet ourselves with compassion and love and tenderness so that we can become beacons of that for everybody else? Because when we give ourselves permission to be tender, we meet other people in that tenderness, it's a pattern interrupt, and it allows them the opportunity to think of, is this belief system even mine?
I feel like you touched on something really potent in the beginning of that, where you were talking about should. And it's such a full circle moment around like starting with this have to consciousness, and then I should be, I shouldn't be. Oh, my clients say this to me all the time. I shouldn't be scrolling so much. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be going to the gym. I should be looking for another job. Like this, I mean, could literally be an entire dissertation, I feel, on this consciousness. And so we'll save it for another time. But I just really want to invite you, if you're listening to this, to be really raw and vulnerable with yourself and tender on where you are holding I have to's, I shoulds, I shouldn'ts. And most importantly, to kind of wrap it up here with what you were saying, is where am I then putting those expectations on the world around me? Where am I projecting that outwards? Because everything that's happening inside of our own experience, inside of our own minds, is being projected outwards. And that's the whole like heal your mind, save the world, right? We create the new world of love from a consciousness rooted in love, a healed, integrated, embodied, organic, conscious being of love. And we're so disillusioned and stuck in, especially in the Awakened Collective, of like, I need to create it, not I need to become the person that's capable of creating it and holding it. And that fundamentally, I feel, is the core depth and mission of this academy and of Living Consciously now in its form, is to help you become that version of yourself, and no longer seeking about what we have to do, should do, shouldn't do, need to do, but truly like, who do I get to be in order to create that world of love in my own experience, in my own life, in my own communities. And then from that place, we get to project that out to the world. We're literally projectors. And so it all starts within, as we know, and as we say on this show all the time. And so as you go about your week and these next few weeks before we come back to you, and our next episode is our love story part 5,
I think.
Year 9? Yeah. Which is our thing we do every year on our anniversary. And 2 weeks from now we will be in Hawaii, and we have our live event coming up. We are going to have a great time and a really powerful presentation and giveaways and music and community. As of the recording of this and the releasing of this, almost, I think, 60 people are signed up, which is so beautiful and such a gift and a blessing to be able to hold this space for you. So join us at the event. You can find all of the links in our show notes, where you can get all of our amazing free resources to connect with us more. We have all our podcast archives, and the next time that we see you, we will be preparing for that event. So come join us, and please, please, please let this be your invitation to show up authentically as you are, to be vulnerable, be authentic, be tender, rest if you need to rest, and really, really, with loving, gentle awareness, examine these ways of thinking and being around have to, should, shouldn't, because there's great, great wisdom in unpacking where that's coming from and integrating it so that you can start to rewrite those stories.
Thank you for your beautiful words, your tenderness and your compassion. I just want to reflect to you that...
Dog hair in my eye.
No, not that you have dog hair in your eye. That I have watched you over the course of the decade that we've spent with one another soften and start to find tenderness within yourself and with me. And
see, this is like the dynamic. Mommy got emotional, and so here comes the dog.
Yeah. I just want to reflect that to you, because I don't think we hear it from each other enough, how much we've grown and how much embodiment is present here. Because even in preparing for this episode, you know, there's been tightness in how do we show up perfectly for this episode. And it just came in a wave of tenderness and compassion that overcame me when I noticed those programs coming up for you. And that's the healing power of conscious relating, because it was when I saw those belief systems in her that had activated the compassion within me to meet her with tenderness and love. And she does it way more for me.
That is not what I would have said, so that's nice to hear. And there it is right there. You're literally watching it live. He's beautifully complimenting me, and immediately my mind's like, no, I'm not good enough. I need to do that for you more. I don't do it enough, and you do it way more. That's like that immediate defense of like, no, I could be doing better, rather than just receiving my partner saying that to me. And this is what I mean, right? Is it's not going to not happen. See how quickly I was aware of that. Like, it was instant. It's like, wait a minute, there's that pattern again. There's that thought again. Thank you. And yeah, it's just this softening, right? And I think we talk a lot in the spiritual space. You hear a lot about like the feminine and sinking into your feminine. And it's like, we are all softening. We all have millennias of armor and defense mechanisms and patterns. And I'm literally seeing these shells and these shields and these just like, no, stay back, you know? And it's like shedding those one by one, and then like peeking over the corner and being like, okay, I am safe. And this comes up a lot in this work with this tenderness and these expectations and these things is like, yeah, I made it to this another video I made. I'm seeing how all the content I've been making these last few weeks is coming into this, but the not feeling safe, and in essence, how that is a good thing, because it's pointing to those parts that are asking to be met with tenderness and love so they can put their shield down, come back home, be integrated. And it's such a beautiful process. And I encourage you to find someone in your life, any type of relationship, seek support, seek companionship in this, seek a person to do this work with. It can be anyone, because we are not in this alone, and we do this together. We do this as a community, and by letting other people in, that's how we can receive that external tenderness of God through someone else, because God reaches us the most through others, and that's why relationships are so important. So take this as your invitation to give yourself some tenderness today. I dare you, and make it a fun game, make it something, but just get some more tenderness. And unless you have anything else, we will see you in 2 weeks.
I think I have my own dare, which is, you know, giving tenderness to yourself from her, and then from me. Once you've found that tenderness for yourself, find somebody in your life that's going through a crunchy experience, or that you have
Crunchy.
Yeah, it's like it's a tough one. Or
Icky.
maybe
I've been liking that word lately.
Icky. Or maybe somebody that you have had challenges in relationship with, and find a way to bring tenderness to that relationship. And so do that healing work within yourself, and then be that in the world. Thank you for walking this journey with us. We love you so much.
We'll see you here soon.